Maharaj and Associates National Insurance Consultants. We specialize in national insurance services, claims, compliance, contributions, and appeals. Contact us at 665-4387, 623-7952, or 657-9852. Or visit us so we can help with all your insurance needs.
Welcome viewers to Hotline with Ann Dookie. Thank you for joining us. This is our third week in discussing national insurance and your contributions and where they fall short. We have in studio with us Mr. Sat Maharaj, expert in NIS from Ramcharita and Associates. Now, some people do win their NIS appeals, but there's no public success rate defined. Until at a recent Joint Select Committee meeting, it was revealed that 30% of the 1,100 appellants, they have been sidelined by the NIB. Trinidad and Tobago National Insurance Appeal Tribunal says that they have a success rate with the appeals. Mr. Sat Maharaj, welcome to Hotline and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ann, and it's a pleasure to be here again to educate the public, especially the retirees and the working population, about their rights to appeal. So today we are going to speak about National Insurance Appeal Tribunal, the process, what involves in an appeal, who can appeal, the time factor, the reasons for appeal, etc.
I couldn't find, Sat, any official statistics showing approval rates. What is the public perception on this?
Well, the public perception on the National Insurance Appeal Tribunal is it is not too high, not too low, because the average person do not know about the National Insurance Appeal Tribunal. When they hear about the tribunal, they feel it's a court. It's not a court. It's a three-way conversation between the National Insurance Board, the National Insurance Appeal Tribunal, and the appellant, right, most of whom we represent. If you don't want to have any problems, you feeling, well, you don't like tribunal or you don't like court hearing, and it is not a court hearing. It is very nice place where you can come and you can voice your opinion. We represent our clients, and our success rating at the tribunal is in the 90s. So,
I was just about to ask you that. You took the question out of my mouth. I was about to ask you, what is the average percentage of cases won, or is it successful?
It is, on our end, it is very successful.
Well, that is good to hear.
Yeah. Once you appoint us, Ramcharita and Associate, to deal with your appeal, we will guide you and show you. You don't have to do anything. You just have to be present. And sometimes people who live away, they can do it virtually. We make a request to the tribunal, and they do have virtual hearings for people who cannot travel or people who might be sick and handicapped and they cannot come to the hearing. I, as well as Mr. Ramcharita, we represent persons at the hearing, and we have developed a relationship with the tribunal, both the NIB and the members of the tribunal, which I will discuss shortly. And we have a good working relationship, and we deal with appeals as they come to hand.
Sat, anyone who disagrees with the NIB decision they have a legal right to appeal, to be independent and appeal the National Insurance Board decision. Many people are not aware of this. Why is that?
That is right. And at the end of the day, if you feel your claim was disallowed, you was underpaid, you didn't had the correct benefit. For example, you receive a grant and not a pension, and you know for a fact that you did work for more than 750 weeks, or you feel your disability has been lowered by NIB, and that you want to go ahead with your appeal, you can do so. For persons with sickness and injury benefit, a lot of times, for example, if somebody submit a sickness benefit for, let's say, 9 months, and then I be shortened it to 4 months, and you feel you have been not fairly compensated by NIB, you can appeal. And these appeal usually have the chief medical officer of health, and who rarely comes to appeal, because we don't have much medical appeals per se. So he or she may comes once every 3 months and deals with the backlog of the medical appeal. And usually 9 out of 10 times the CMO side with the appellant.
Just to clarify for our viewers out there, that the tribunal is separate from the NIB, that is the National Insurance Board, and can overturn the NIB decisions. Your comments?
That's right. That's right. I will just describe for our viewers and listeners the appeal tribunal. The appeals tribunal started in 1980. It is engraved in chapter 3201, and they have been operating since 1980 to date. The National Insurance Appeal Tribunal is an independent body. They don't have any, well, they have links with the NIB. They are based more or less to overturn decisions of the NIB where a just cause has been shown by the appellant, and they will decide whether the appeal should be paid or not. The appeal tribunal consists of a chairman and 9 members that consists of the tribunal.
So
Three
yeah,
of the
go ahead. Sorry.
3 of the members are selected from government, 3 from labor, and 3 from business.
So it's balanced. It is balanced.
Yeah. And so a tribunal usually do hearings in South, in North, and in Tobago. In North and South, they meet once a month. So once a month in Port of Spain, once a month in San Fernando.
So yes, SAT appeals can succeed, especially when contributions were missing, that can be proven. Yes. Documents were not properly considered, deadlines, medical evidence were disputed. The NIB may have misinterpreted the rules too narrowly. For many people, experiences online, and many say it's persistent paperwork, following up is a lot for them, and they just don't know what their rights are. But that is where you come in. You are there to guide them through this process.
Right. Remember, NIB received approximately 42,000 claims per year. And the mistakes are liable to be made. They are not perfectionists. They may overlook, let's say, contributions. Person is supposed to have, let's say, 2,000 contribution, and the NIB only has 1,500 on their account for this person. So the person cannot find any TD4s, any pay slips, etc. And of course, the person will get underpaid retirement pension. There's even the cases where a person has 740 contribution and just cannot find those 10. But he's sure he worked for, let's say, that particular year that is missing contribution. We know exactly what to do, how to do. the appeal, etc., and we file the appeal at the tribunal. The tribunal only consists of about 7 members of staff, excluding, of course, the members of the tribunal. And cases are prepared both in North and South, and we represent our clients, and we win our appeal. Our appeal, the appeals tribunal has the ability, has the know-how. They listen to our submission, and they either say, tell NIB either to pay or not to pay. Most of the times, NIB, because of the lack of evidence, and we get the evidence, whether it is a witness, whether it's TD4, whether it's medical evidence, whatever it is missing in the picture, we get the evidence, we submit it, and we forward it to the tribunal. The tribunal only deals with cases of fact, not cases of law. If it's cases of law, then you have to go straight to the High Court. So we deals with and the tribunal, deals with cases of facts only. Okay?
When and why? Why and when should an appeal, an appellant claim a decision that the NIB have made? When should they come to you? At what point?
As they have to come to us within 6 months from the date they receive the first check or the only check. And when they come to us, we make sure that the respective forms are completed, allowance notice or disallowance notice is there, the respective law, etc., are highlighted by NIB, and we file the appeal within 6 months.
Let's say the person is living abroad and cannot come within 6 months.
Right.
What is their situation?
Well, let's say for some reason, like the one you quoted, or some other reason, probably they're not aware of the appeal tribunal, and they're receiving $3,000 and they're supposed to receive $5,000.
Right.
And it is after 6 months, the appeal tribunal, based on the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, Chapter 3201, you have an extra 6 months to file.
They can swear an affidavit,
No,
and
you
that
have
will
to
hold up.
You have to submit a letter stating why are you submitting your appeal after 6 months. But so you get 6 months in the interim and an additional 6 months. But after 12 months, you cannot file an appeal.
Just for clarification for our viewers, they will be submitting a written letter to whom? The chairman of the board?
Yeah, the National Insurance Appeal Tribunal, and which is you are just send your letter to the registrar. We'll prepare all the documents for you, so you don't have any problem. But for people who want to file their appeal on their own, you address it to the registrar, National Insurance Appeal Tribunal, Level 2, Eric William Financial Complex, Independence Square, Police Speed. Okay?
Sure. I said for some reasons persons may not be able to come or they may not be aware that they can appeal. One of the reasons might be medical grounds. Are there medical hearings?
Of course there are medical hearings, and I said before, the chief medical officer usually will come and determine these appeal with the assistance of the members of the tribunal, who are 4 in number, and they are assisted by the chief medical officer, who will more or less direct the tribunal as to what should they do. Okay?
All this process you have described, at an average, how long does the matter take to be resolved by the tribunal?
That's a good. Usually from the last 15 years at the tribunal, average appeal takes between 2 to 3 years. However, there are some appeals that NIB has been missing files, asking for adjournment because of investigation after investigation after investigation. Sorry. And these type of appeal, you'll be surprised to know that some of them takes over 10 years. Recently, I did one last year and one this year. They were over, one was 15 years and the other one was 8 years. But the chairman of the appeals tribunal, she is very good and she has decided adjournment or not.
Who is the chairman?
The chairman is Miss Carrington, sorry.
Okay. One of our viewers here is asking that he have submitted a document from my employer for a recount on my contribution since January 2026 and haven't heard anything from the NIS office. What would be your advice there?
Well, those things take some time. Those contributions that he has sent in take some time. NIB more or less do not put it on their front burner. I noticed that people have been asking me, why is it that NIB is not updating the contribution? And there may be other reasons because of that too as well. Some of the reasons is that the document has to be investigated. It has to be verified by the employer before they put it on the system and for you to get an updated contribution statement. My advice to people is once you have a contribution statement and you have your TD4, please do not throw away your TD4. Don't get rid of it. Keep it there until you retire because you will need it. Okay?
Well, it is through programs like this that persons, even people working with contractors and so on, they are now realizing how important it is to receive a TD4.
Yes.
Some of them don't even receive one. And later on in the program, viewers, we have some example here of real cases that Mr. Maharaj have dealt with. One of them is a person who did not receive their TD4. I'm sure that you found a lot of people like this in the same category.
Oh yes, there are lots of people.
And why is that? Why don't an employer provide a TD4? Is it to avoid paying taxes?
Well, there may be a number of reasons why employers don't issue TD4. TD4s are supposed to be issued to each employee by the 28th of February following the year of employment.
By law?
By law. Unfortunately, because of this relaxed tax laws where you don't have to pay tax if you're working for minimum wages, employers just don't want to give a TD4. But by law, you're supposed to have a TD4. Most small business don't issue TD4. They don't even issue pay slips. They pay NIS. They do not pay NIS. Some deduct NIS and do not remit it to the board.
Some pay, some don't pay at all. Let's take a short commercial break. And when we come back, Mr. Maharaj will tell our viewers some of the documents that should be submitted with an appeal. We'll be right back.
Maharaj Associates National Insurance Consultants. We specialize in national insurance services, claims, compliance, contributions, and appeals. Contact us at 665-4387, 623-7952, or 657-9852. Or visit us so we can help with all your insurance needs.
Welcome back, viewers, to Hotline with Ann Dookie on IETV. And thank you for following this series of program with us. Mr. Maharaj, welcome back. Tell our viewers some of the documents that are needed beside filling out an appeal form.
Well, some of the documents are needed is you must have gotten a notice from a NIB, which will state, like for example, if your claim was disallowed, they would have issued a notice to you stating why it was disallowed, what was the laws in relation to the disallowance, and that document is the starting document to file an appeal. There's also an allowance notice which will state how much money you get in, for example, for a retirement pension or a retirement grant. That is also used. So once we get that document, we will start preparing the Form 1, which is the appeal form, which will be completed by the appellant and signed by the appellant. The other documents, for example, might be a contribution statement. And mind you, contribution statement are now online. You can go online and get it within a couple of days. I tried the system, but unfortunately it took 21 days for me to get one from my client. So I think they need to brush up on that. In addition to the contribution statement, you may see missing contributions. You have to provide a TD4 or payslip. In cases where the employer has closed down and migrated and you don't have any evidence, we cite witness, at least 2 witnesses who will swear affidavit that they work with this person and for how long and what is their NIS number and what's their duties, etc. And we compile all these documents together and we file the appeal. There may be a medical appeal where let's say your invalidity benefit has stopped based on your physical or mental ability to return back to work. But your evidence, let's say, is proof that you cannot work. So we may need to get evidence from the hospital or your doctor saying otherwise. These can be submitted. There's also evidence of your disability. NIB may say, all right, well, you lost an eye, I could only pay you 20%. But loss of an eye, the minimum disability is 50%. Now, this loss of eye must happen on the job, yeah? Not in any other accident out of the job. It must happen on the job. So these are some of the things that you can appeal on, and these are the documents you'll have to provide to get. But there's also this additional one. NIB was paying this person the wrong class. There was this policeman, and that week of injury, he has gotten his back pay. His salary was high, but the NIB paid him in class 13 when he should be paid in class 16. And there's also people who get a long-term benefit who are being paid in an incorrect class. I had one employee while I was in NIB who was getting benefit in the wrong class, and he was not even aware of it. And when I pick up the claim and I ordered the claim, I realized you are getting paid in the wrong class. And he was working together with me and he was not aware of it. So who is the person out of NIB? They don't know how their payments are being computed. And no one knows except people at our organization and who we train at the tribunal and other government institutions. They are aware of it. Okay?
Well, Sat, all of these documents and the letters and so on that you say have to be submitted for the benefit of our viewers. Where are they dropping this off? Is it at the NIB office?
That's right. And there are forms at each NIB office which you can take, complete it, and drop it. And there's a box at each NIB office. Or you can come to our office and we have forms and we have everything to facilitate you. It's a one-stop shop and we prepare everything for you and handle your case straight on to the end when it is finalized by the tribunal. When the claim is finalized by the tribunal via hearing, we submit your arguments. We make sure that all the evidence are there. Sometimes an IB may ask for an adjournment. The tribunal may or may not accept an adjournment. And once the appeal has been determined by the National Insurance Appeal Tribunal, it is then forwarded. The decision is forwarded in writing to NIB, and NIB has 30 days from the date of receipt of that document to pay this person.
So you are saying that the tribunal will acknowledge receipt of the appellant. They will request the file from the National Insurance Board. Is that correct?
That's right. So,
right.
And the National Insurance Board has 30 days.
30 days to respond.
Unfortunately, there are some 30% of 1,100 appeals that NIB is.
Yeah, what about that? That was recently revealed at a joint select committee meeting in Parliament.
It was revealed by
that was
the chairman.
Shocking to hear that NIB did not resubmit the file because the file, it is missing?
Well, the file is missing, or the file, I can't say where the file has disappeared, but NIB duty is to submit the file. You only have 6 months to file.
But the person, they have a time frame in which to make their claim, which would be no fault of theirs.
That's right.
So how you would deal with something like that if I have appealed a decision and my file is missing?
Well, the National Insurance Appeal Tribunal is the body that will request the file. And if after 2, maybe 3 requests, they are not getting the file, they may have to go to the Minister of Finance.
Minister of Finance.
And I think these 30%, 3 out of every 10 whose files are missing in action, something has to be done, because some of these persons may well go to the great beyond without getting their just dues. And that is unfair to the worker who has worked all his life or part of his life and not get what is due to him. So this was highlighted at a joint select committee a couple of weeks ago. NIB was there, and the chairman of NIAT was there, and it was highlighted there and then.
After this process, if not resolved, the matter can go before the National Insurance Appeal Tribunal for a hearing. Is that correct?
That's right.
Walk us through that process.
So once it goes for a hearing, a date is set aside, the appellant or his representative is notified, the NIB is notified, etc. And we have a hearing either in Port of Spain, San Fernando, or Tobago. At the hearing,
you hear matters in Tobago as well?
Yes, we do.
Yes, okay.
But we do not have it so frequent as in Trinidad. Maybe every 2 to 3 months in Tobago, because of the number of appeals. There's very few. So at the hearing, I or Mr. Ramcharita will present the hearing, and NIB will, of course, state their findings, and the chairman will interview witnesses or evidence or documentation attesting to the fact that NIB made an error, and in so doing, the members of the tribunal, which consists of the chairman, one member from government, one member from business, and one member from labor, will sit and they will determine the facts against the appeal and the claim. Once that is in the affirmative for the appellant, the chairman will read the ruling to NIB and to the appellant or his or her representative. Okay? And once that ruling is read, that is final. NIB has 30 days to pay the appellant his dues. In some cases, it may move from a lower percent to a higher percent of disability. It may involve sickness benefit that NIB refused to pay. It may involve a retirement grant turning into a retirement pension with years of back pay to the appellant, plus 3,000 a month minimum rate of pension. It may involve wrong, incorrect class. It may involve a number of other things. If it involves law, then the members of the tribunal cannot hear that appeal and may have
to... It will go to the High Court.
Yeah, it will go to the High Court. Now, you only have a certain amount of time to go to the High Court, and if at the tribunal it takes an average of 3 to 4 years, you may have to go straight to the High Court as soon as you get your decision from the NIB saying that they cannot pay you, they don't want to pay you, they want to pay you, or they stop your invalidity benefit, things like that. But yeah, another reason why they may want to go High Court is there's no employer-employee relationship. When we do the employer registration, I'll go a little more detail on that. So these are some of the things that could go High Court. Now, mind you, if the tribunal rule on it on an appeal and the NIB is not satisfied with the ruling, they have the opportunity to take the matter to the High Court. Usually, 99% of the time, the High Court side with the National Insurance Appeal Tribunal. I've seen cases, not much, maybe about 4 or 5, that NIB went to the High Court and the High Court ruling was, please refer.
I was just about to ask you about, at an average, what percentage of those cases the tribunal wins?
The majority of the time, the tribunal wins their case in High Court, because when they take the tribunal to the High Court for a referendum on the ruling, most of the time the High Court will rule in favor of the National Insurance Appeal Tribunal. Okay.
So after the hearing, the tribunal sends a decision in writing. Is that correct?
That's right.
And tribunal decisions, they may be subject to court review in some cases.
Yes.
Yes, just for the benefit of our viewers. I'm reiterating that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Advise people, don't feel intimidated by the National Insurance Appeal Tribunal. It's a fair body. It's for everybody to use. It's in our democratic society, and you have the right to appeal. Don't just sit down with whatever you get from an IB and think, well, I'm not going to fight for what is due to me. That's your democratic right. And that is engraved into the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. And the tribunal is a very fair body. It's not for you. It's not for NIB. It's not for me. I present the cases, and a lot of cases that I present rule in the appellant favor. NIB comes every month with their attorneys, and they will present their case, they'll present their findings based on the claim, and they will stand by their decision to pay or not to pay, my or underpay, etc. My job is to make sure that you get justice. Okay?
Sure. Have you had any situation where the tribunal made a ruling and the NIB, they went against it, or they didn't uphold their end of the bargain?
I do not think so, but
Usually when the tribunal makes a ruling, they honor it.
they honor it. Yeah. They may not honor it in 30 days, but sometimes they forgot to reprocess the claim. I may have to remind them and the tribunal, but they do their civic duty and honor the tribunal ruling. And of course, they have a certain amount of time if they wish to go to the High Court. If the time has elapsed, they cannot go.
So just before we go to the break, just for the benefit of our viewers, NIB has about 3 weeks to respond or reconsider your appeal. If not resolved, the matter can go before the National Insurance Appeal Tribunal for a hearing. You will be notified of the date, time, and venue in writing. A written decision is made after the hearing. The tribunal sends its decision in writing. Tribunal decisions may be subjected to court review in some circumstances. You agree with all those issues we have discussed? Am I on the right track, Sat?
You are certainly on the right track.
You know, there are many employees, they are texting in, and they are so happy that we are dealing with this, because many of them do not know that they have the right to appeal. They will go to the NIB, fill out their form for their claims and pensions, and they might be disappointed and just turn away and leave it there. And that's the end for them. They don't know that there is hope at the end of the tunnel.
That's right. And that's your right to appeal. If you feel aggrieved by the decision of the board, if for some reason you feel you haven't gotten the correct amount of the money, if you feel that your junior is getting more pension than you, when you meet him or her at the bank and you was the supervisor and he was in a higher class, you have the right to appeal.
Okay.
And mind you, if you let's say you lost your right to appeal because of lateness, you can come to us and we will beg and plead with NIB to review your claim. I have done quite a lot, and it has been reviewed, and persons are getting much more money than they are getting, let's say, before they visit our office.
Let's go to a short commercial break, Sat, and when we come back, I would like you to share with our viewers some of the real cases that you have dealt with from Ram Charita and Associates in the Appeal Tribunal. We'll be right back.
Ram Charita Associates National Insurance Consultants. We specialize in national insurance services, claims, compliance, contributions, and appeals. Contact us at 665-4387, 623-7952, or 657-9852. Or visit us so we can help with all your insurance needs.
Viewers, welcome back to Hotline with Ann Dookie on IETV. Sat, welcome back. And thank you for sharing your experience and information with us. We were discussing this morning one of the cases you had where the appellant contributed from 1972 to 1994 and got 9 short contributions. He appealed the matter. Go through it with our viewers.
Okay, so this guy was short paid by NIB. Of course, he's supposed to receive a pension and not a retirement grant, which was just about $22,000. So he was missing a number of contribution, and of course he didn't have any payslip or TD4 because he got rid of it, or his wife got rid of it, thinking it's rubbish now. Only to realize the importance of it. The employer closed down, migrated, no longer in operation, so he don't know what should he do. He have no evidence to prove beyond doubt that he worked for that particular year, which was missing more than 9 contribution. And what we did, we look at one of his co-workers who work with him. In fact, we look at 2 co-workers who both sworn affidavit attesting to the fact that they both work together and they are getting their $3,000 minimum pension, while he just got a retirement grant of $22,000. We filed the appeal. It was within 6 months, and it was accepted. On the date of the hearing, of course, NIB came and said that they stand by their decision not to pay a retirement pension, but to pay a retirement grant. Mind you, NIB only looks at physical contribution, not hearsay or this one say and that one say that I work with the appellant. However, the tribunal, in their determination, used the witness, my submission via the witness, proved beyond doubt that the person did work with him. And the contribution was missing on NIB side. The employer, more or less, was not here to give evidence, but he had job letters, etc., saying that he was permanent and he worked with this company X for 14 and 15 years, in fact, and NIB did not use that. The appeal after the findings, of course, NIB attorneys will cross-examine the witness, which and ask them certain questions as to determine the validity of or truth of the testimony on the affidavit. That being said, the tribunal now will determine whether this person should be paid a retirement pension or NIB will stand by their decision. When they came back to read the verdict, it was in the appellant favor because there was testimony and there were witnesses and there was evidence to prove beyond reasonable doubt that this person did work for 15 years.
This was the case where the appellant had no TD4 evidence.
That's right.
And he was employed with a contractor, is that right?
That's right.
Yes.
And he some people have TD4, but they do not keep it. So that's why I advise people keep all your payslips and all your TD4s.
And if you are not getting it, if you're employed, say, with a contractor and you're not getting your TD4, you have a right to ask for it.
That's right, you have the right to ask for it. So if your money goes to the bank, just get a bank statement and attach it to your statement, and there's evidence that you did work.
So a bank statement could work. It will show proof that money is deposited in your account.
Yeah. Okay. So those are some of the things. Just give me 1 second.
Sure. Remember, viewers, you have the right to appeal. It is within your right. These appellants form you can get at any NIB service centers or customer care. You can go online. You can visit nibtt.com. Tribunal information is in fact in the Ministry of Finance and National Insurance Appeal Tribunal page. Let me repeat that. You can get this information on the Ministry of Finance National Insurance Appeals Tribunal page. This is for pension, sickness, benefits missing, contributions missing, survivors benefit, and other things like that.
Yes, I'm glad you brought up that. A lot of persons are not aware, especially common law union, where they may live with this person for a number of years.
Oh yeah, they
Sometimes
will have
40.
cohabitation, right?
And they have their cohabitation right, and they don't know what evidence to use to prove that.
Of course, they have evidence they can use.
Exactly.
A simple affidavit can be evidence.
Right. So while the affidavit is used as evidence, they have to prove beyond that they did live with the person. For example, they may have to provide, let's say, a bank accounts, or they may be nominated at the person, the insured pension fund.
Say they don't have a bank account with the person that died. What else they can use?
Well, they could use the children birth certificate showing that they live together, or they may buy a piece of land, or they might buy a TV or refrigerator.
You might go in a store and buy, take out an account and buy furniture together or something like that.
So you have to prove to NIB.
So you can prove it, yes.
Yeah.
I see what you are saying.
Do not know what evidence to use, and they may just go with the affidavit and they have things, but they don't know how to use it. Our job is to make sure that we get all the evidence and we submit it to the tribunal, and usually 9 out of 10 times we win our case. Because NIB may overlook these things. The insured may have the evidence. So, for example, they may have a nomination. The person may have nominated you that when he or she dies, you will collect the money. And NIB usually will have this on their system. And just in case they do not have it, you have a copy of it that can be used. You may buy a vehicle, or the light bill, or the water rates in your name and his name, or you may pay one bill and he pay an next bill. Those are evidence that you all live together. And people are not aware of their rights, and their claim may be disallowed, and they don't know where to turn to. I have seen some survivors who, for the past 15 years, didn't know what to do until they met one of my clients who got through their appeal, and then they came and we filed an appeal. No, we filed a claim, sorry. Of course, the claim is late, and they would have lost out 15 years of payment, which ironically amounted to hundreds of thousands of dollars, which they would not get, because the NIB law says if you file your claim late for survivors, you would only be paid from the date you file, not from the day the person died, which may be 15, 20 years ago.
One of the other cases you pointed out to me was Death Benefits Act. You had this case where the son died as a result of injury on the job in 2010. The father is the only parent alive and filed for a death benefit, which was disallowed by the NIB. You recall that case?
Yes, I recall that case. Yes, that was a very long and interesting case, because the argument on both sides were Oh,
Walk
it's
through
like
it with our viewers for their benefit. They may have a
yes,
similar experience.
this son, who was the breadwinner in the family, I was working with a company. Unfortunately, on the second week of employment, crane, which a piece of iron which let loose fell on him
Oh my.
and damaged his back and neck and hands and feet.
He was crippled.
He, yeah, he was almost. I don't know how he didn't die immediately. He stayed in the hospital for 44 days, and when he passed away,
Oh, so
the
sad.
father, the father was unemployed. The mother died. The father, he used to give the siblings money when he worked and take care of them. So when he died, the father didn't have any work, he didn't have any money because the father used to get work off and on, and when he get work, he work. But the, prior to the date of death, he was not employed. So the claim was filed and the claim was disallowed, saying that dependency did not exist because of the fact the father used to get work, but the father didn't have a permanent job. He didn't even have a temporary job. He used to work off and on. My argument at the tribunal proved, based on the law, that you must be dependent on the deceased at the date of death, not 2 months before or 3 months before. And that week and 1 month prior to that week, the father was unemployed. NIB argument stated that the father worked for 2 months prior to the date of death, which was true. But that money was just for a 2 week period. So the argument came up at the tribunal. They said the claim was submitted late, and that was not true. The claim was submitted on the 12th month prior to the year, and he had some problems with it, and he went back, we correct the problems, and resubmitted the claim within 30 days. Once you submit the claim within 30 days from the date, the first day of receipt, it shall be considered as a receipt on the first day and not the second. That being said, the claim was reviewed, the person got their money because the tribunal ruled that the parent was dependent on the deceased.
So there's something as a dependent parent benefit.
That's right. So if the mother was alive, she too could have claimed, but the mother was not alive. So he got the full benefit, and he is now in receipt of, I think it's 4,800 per month for the rest of his life or until he remarries.
At least he can survive, although it is
Yes.
a small amount.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he got his back pay, which was about that appeal.
And this was back in 2010, viewers, where the ruling by the National Insurance Appeal Tribunal ruled that the father be paid 4,800 a month, you say?
That's right.
Yes. So there's something called a dependent parent benefit.
So if your son or daughter, if you were dependent on them, and you were mainly
They were
dependent.
taking care of you, yes.
They were paying your bills, buying your grocery, your pension could not, let's say, do it, or you're not in receipt of pension at the date of death, and you have the opportunity to claim a dependent parent benefit. The mother as well as the father can claim the dependent parent. Both of them can claim. Once they could provide that they were mainly or wholly dependent on the deceased insured.
Can you
Okay.
recite any other cases for us, as we have the last couple of minutes remaining?
They have hundreds of cases I did.
What come at the top of your head?
Now, off the top of my head, there was this lady in America, in Florida. She could not travel. She appointed by way of a legal document that her nephew could handle the appeal. We contacted her virtually at the tribunal, and we got witnesses from her employment that she did work because she didn't have any. She was, I think she was 76 years old, yes. So that appeal lasted for 16 years. In fact, she started to work at Scotiabank before even NIB started in 1972. So that being said, she didn't have any evidence. I tried to locate witnesses. They were unwilling to come forward. Fortunately, I got hold of this witness who worked with her selling insurance. And he did came and he gave evidence, and it was proven that they worked together and how long they worked together. And mind you, she was just missing about 14 contributions. She won her case based on the tribunal ruling, and she got her back pay, and she got is now in receipt of $3,000 per month
What
for the rest of her life.
Right. What about those scenarios that where people, they work cash jobs? You know, say a painter may come to paint a building day to day and he's just receiving cash. What would be
Yes,
their
we have.
situation? Let's say he get damage on the job.
Right. Let's say he get damage on the job, and NIS wasn't being deducted and paid to the board. And by the way, once you get damage on the job, whether NIS is deducted or not, you are entitled to file a claim for injury benefit.
So that is an
That's,
important question. Many people are not aware of that.
yeah. So a lot of people get damage on the job, and the employer say, well, look, I will pay you your full pay for how long you stay home. They may stay home a month or two, and they are getting the full pay, and not to realize they could get NIS benefit, namely injury benefit and disablement benefit if they lost or fractured a part of their body, or they lose a finger or two or even a hand. A lot of people are not aware of this. And one particular employment I know for sure are policemen and people in the army and people in the fire service, where a lot of injuries take place. And I interviewed one policeman who came after 1 year and told me he was getting his full pay, and his boss, his superior, told him that you cannot claim NIS because you're getting your full pay. And he took that and believed what his boss said because he was getting his full pay for that year. When he visited my office, I told him, you have just lost $102,000.
So when the program and talk is going so sweet, we are just out of time. We have just about a minute again. Let's have your
Yes.
closing remarks until next week when we return.
Well, appeals is so much.
It's a wide
quite
area.
a wide area, and when we go into detail and the benefits, which we will do next week, we will do the short term and the injury benefit, which is a lot. It may take more, maybe 4 to 5 programs to deal with these things. And people are not aware of these benefits. Yeah, they pay NIS, but they're not aware why they pay.
I'm sure
So-
through this program, many of them have now become aware. Just to close off today's program, remember novelist Francis Scott Fitzgerald when he says, for what it's worth, it's never too late to be whoever you want to be. Never too late to start over. I am Ann Dookie. Thank you for joining us.
Ramcharan Associates National Insurance Consultants. We specialize in national insurance services, claims, compliance, contributions, and appeals. Contact us at 665-4387, 623-7952, or 657-9852, or visit us so we can help with all your insurance needs.